My name is Elisabeth Britz and I work for Nottinghamshire NHS Trust and I'm a senior occupational therapist working in the Adult Learning Disability Service. So I started working at Rampton High Secure Hospital back in 2004, the end of 2004, and I'd had some bad experiences in my previous job down south of kind of being outed by work staff, and it was really uncomfortable. So I made a decision when I started that I was going to come out as soon as I could. So it was sort of a couple of weeks into working in the organisation. So my experience of coming out in the workplace, it wasn't quite the way I'd wanted it to be. When you start at Rampton, you have to do an induction and you're put together with lots of different staff from all over the hospital, all new starters. And my initial thought was I wanted people to get to know me and not just, oh, that's that OT and she's gay. So I didn't want to come straight out with a label. So I just started to try and get to know people, but I didn't initially feel comfortable because of my previous experiences. And unfortunately, I kind of backed myself into a corner when people started talking about their relationships, their husbands, wives, that sort of thing. And I was asked what my partner's name was, and I feel very ashamed to say that I actually lied to start with and told this colleague of mine that my boyfriend's name was Sean. We then became quite friendly, and then she wanted to meet Sean, and that was when the problem came. So eventually I took her to one side. I explained to her that actually I told a bit of a white lie and that my partner was called Sarah. She took it really well, and I kind of left it at that. Then a couple of weeks later, when I was back in my actual OT service, they had a meeting and they were talking about who was going to be put forward to go to an LGBT kind of an educational meeting, just someone they were going to put forward. And they were making lots of jokes about putting this particular male staff forward because he was a bit of a womanizer and they thought it would be really funny. And as I sat there, I thought this has really felt a little bit uncomfortable. So at the end of the meeting, when they asked, is there anything anyone wants to share or say about the meeting, I basically took a deep breath and said, yeah, actually, I need to let you all know that actually I am a gay woman, and the jokes that you've just been making and the comments have actually made me feel really uncomfortable. And everybody, you could see everybody going red, including me. But it kind of got it out in the open, and then there was a lot of awkwardness. My manager sort of said, oh, I know lots of gay people, and you know, and that's absolutely fine. But after that initial more uncomfortableness, it kind of went, and everyone was fine with it after that. Professionally, it's made a lot of difference. It means I can be myself. I'm not sort of tiptoeing around trying to pretend to be one person at home and another person at work. Having said that, I work in a high secure environment, and although I am out to staff, I am not out to patients, and that is purely for being safety's sake, really. Equally, I wouldn't tell my patients that I have children or anything about my family, so it's not that there's any issue for me as a gay woman, but there's an issue to security. But in terms of being out with colleagues, it's meant that I can hopefully present a positive impression of who a gay woman is. That, you know, people have a lot of stereotypes, I think, and I think hopefully I dispel a lot of those stereotypes. So my experiences of being LGBT plus in my current role have been from very early on. I joined the Sexual Orientation Steering Group, which is the group that looks at all the policies and procedures and deals with all the issues relating to sexual orientation. There are various strands of equality and diversity that we have, and sexual orientation is obviously one of those. So I've been very heavily involved in that from sort of early on. At one point I was the chair for that. I'm currently the co-chair. And hopefully we do a lot of work to promote equality and diversity issues within the trust, making sure that staff are comfortable in the workplace, that if staff have issues relating to patients who may identify as LGBT, that we're there to support them as well. We also have an LGBT forum which we take around the trust to different areas, sort of a bit of a roadshow every few months, and it's an opportunity for staff from the different locations within the trust to come again to discuss any issues that they might have, or for support, educational, that type of thing. Oh gosh, if I could give some advice to my younger self, it would be that actually coming out in the workplace and just coming out from generally was a lot less traumatic than the thought of it. I spent an awful lot of years worrying about what my parents would think, what other people would think. I actually, unfortunately, because of it, came out twice really. So I came out at university, had a female partner all through university, then got absolutely petrified that my parents would find out, and so ran back into the straight world, got married, had children, had a very miserable marriage, and then did it all again. And looking back, I wasted a lot of years being very unhappy. Although I don't regret my children, but being very unhappy. So I think if I was to go back, it would be just to be brave and just take the plunge and do what you need to do. I think for the reason role models are important, for the very reason that I've just sort of explained from the previous question really. If I had maybe had some more positive role models in the gay community when I was younger, perhaps I would have felt braver about coming out. I think it's an opportunity to show other people that you can be yourself and you can be professional. It shouldn't need to affect your professional status in any way. That you've just got to be who you want to be, and don't worry. I've got a daughter who's gay, and her experience of coming out has been amazing, obviously because of her parents, but she didn't have to have all that fear and anxiety about being who she wanted to be. Who is my role model and why? I've kind of thought about this. It's very difficult. I can honestly say I didn't have any role models growing up, and I guess I haven't got any one specific person that's a role model for me. I think anybody who is a strong person, a strong professional woman, powerful, doing what they want to do. I think there's a lot more portrayal of gay women in the media nowadays, on television, in films, TV presenters, and I think Sandy Toksvig is a very good role model for women. But there's numerous, Claire Balding. I think It's people who've risen through the ranks despite or because of their sexuality and who are proud to stand up and say who they are. Yeah, so something that I'm particularly proud of as a result of being out in the workplace is that quite early on, when I'd joined the sexual orientation steering group, a colleague came to me and she identifies as a gay woman, and she was quite upset because her and her partner were wanting to try for a baby, and when they'd approached the local hospital, they found out that they weren't entitled to IVF on the NHS because they were a same-sex couple. I immediately thought that this was discrimination and felt quite strongly about it, so I took it to the head of the Equality and Diversity for our trust, Catherine Concha, and she agreed with me at the time and agreed to take the issue forward. She was able to take it to meetings at a much higher level than I had access to, and consequently we were able to rewrite the policy, and the hospital were put in a position where they had to offer IVF to my colleague. So I feel quite proud of the fact that had I not been out in the workplace at that time, then that might never have happened, or certainly not at the time that would have worked for my colleague.